So hello everyone, myself Kartikey and today's session we will discuss class 10th social science history part. So this is your chapter number 3rd, nationalism in India. So this is your second part. First part link in description so you can watch. So without any further delay, let's get started. So now we are moving to question number 6, short answer type question. So question number first, why Gandhi ji supported the Khilafat movement? So answer, first point, as the Rowlatt Satyagraha was limited to cities and towns, Gandhi ji felt the need to launch a more broad-based movement in India. But he was certain that no such movement could be organized without bringing Hindus and Muslims close together. So he took up the Khilafat issue. Second point, a new generation of Muslims leaders like Ali brother, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali being discussing with Gandhi ji about the possibility of a united mass action on the issue. Gandhi ji saw this as an opportunity to bring the Muslims under the umbrella of a unified national movement. Next question, question number 2. Why was non-cooperation movement launched by Gandhi ji? So answer, first point, the non-cooperation movement was launched by Gandhi ji to support Khilafat movement. Second point, it was also launched against Rowlatt Act and Jallianwala Bagh incident. Third point, Gandhi ji merged the Khilafat movement with non-cooperation movement to bring Muslims in the national movement. Next question, question number 3rd, why was non-cooperation movement withdrawn by Gandhi ji? So answer, in February 1922, Gandhi ji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement due to following reasons. First point, the movement was turning violent. At the Chauri Chaura in Gorakhpur, a peaceful demonstration in a bazaar turned into violent clash in which more than 20 policemen were killed. Second point, Gandhi ji also felt that Satyagrahis needed to be properly trained before they would be ready for mass struggle. Third point, within the Congress, some leaders were tried out mass struggles and wanted to participate in elections to the provincial councils, which were set up under the Government India Act 1919. Next question, question number 4. Why and whom was the Swaraj Party found? So answer, there were some Congress leaders who argued or advocated the idea of fighting the British from within the legislative councils. They wanted to pressurize the government of various reforms through councils. They also wanted to demonstrate that these councils were not truly democratic. Keeping in mind these objectives, C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru formed the Swaraj Party in 1922. Next question, question number 5. Under what circumstances was the Purna Swaraj demanded by the Congress? So answer, first point, the Simon Commission has to face demonstration all over India and no party was the favor of the commission. So in an effort to win the political party, the Viceroy Lord Irwin announced in October 1929 a vague offer of dominion status for India in an unspecified future and a round-table conference to discuss a future constitution. Second point, the announcement fell short of the expectations of Congress at its Lahore session, presided over by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in December 1929. The Congress passed a resolution boycotting the round-table conference. It declared Purna Swaraj, it means that complete independence, as its goal and took step to launch a program of civil disobedience. The Purna Swaraj Day was celebrated all over India on 26 January 1930. Next question, question number 6. Explain the role of Ambedkar in uplifting the Dalit or depressed classes. So answer, first point, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was of opinion that only political employment would resolve their problems of social injustice. Second point, due to his efforts, they began organizing themselves, demanding reserved seats in educational institutions and separate electorate that would choose the Dalit for legislative councils. Third point, in 1930, Ambedkar entered national politics. In the same year, he organized the Depressed Classes Association to make them politically more strong. Fourth point, he was nominated as a delegate of the oppressed classes for the second roundtable conference. In that roundtable conference, he clashed with Gandhiji by demanding separate electorates for Dalits. Next question, question number 7. What was the reaction of the people against the Rowlatt Act? So answer, first point, Gandhiji called for a countrywide Hartal on 6 April 1919, but he was arrested. Second point, there was disturbance in Delhi, Ahmedabad and Punjab. In Amritsar, two popular leaders, Dr. Satpal and Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu, were arrested. People took out procession in Amritsar to protest against these arrests and demanded the release of their leaders. Third point, a public meeting was announced for 13th April 1919 at Jallianwala Bagh, Amritsar, against the arrest of these leaders. Fourth point, General Dyer marched there, killed more than thousands people. Fifth point, as the news of Jallianwala Bagh spread, crowd took to streets and many North Indian towns. There were strikes, clashes with the police and attacks on the government buildings. Next question, question number 8. Who launched the Khilafat movement? Why was the movement launched? So answer, the Khilafat movement was launched by Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. The First World War ended with the defeat of Ottoman Turkey. There were rumors that the harsh peace treaty was going to be imposed on Ottoman Empire. The spiritual head of the Islam world, the Sultan, was deprived the real authority even over the territories which were left under his control. This angered the Muslims in the India, hence the Khilafat movement. Next question, question number 9. Explain the course of Salt March. So answer, first point, on 31st January 1930, Gandhi wrote a long letter to the Viceroy communicating his decision to start the civil disobedience movement. Second point, on 12th March, Mahatma Gandhi began his historic march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, a village on Gujarat sea coast. Third point, he was accompanied by 78 of his volunteers, but as Gandhiji advanced, others joined the party. Fourth point, on the morning of 6th April, Gandhiji violated the salt law by picking up some salt left by sea waves. Gandhiji's campaigning against salt law was a signal to disobey the government's laws. A program of the movement, the civil disobedience campaign, involved defense of salt law, boycott of liquor, boycott of foreign cloth and British goods of all kinds. Next question, question number 10. When and why was the Pune Pact signed? So answer, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was nominated as delegate of the oppressed classes for the second roundtable conference. In that roundtable conference, he clashed with Gandhiji by demanding separate electorates for Dalit. When the British government accepted Ambedkar's demand, Gandhiji began a fast unto death. He believed that separate electorates for Dalit would slow down the process of their integration into society. Next question, question number 11. Plantation workers too had their own understanding of Gandhiji's nation of Swaraj. Explain. For plantation workers in Assam, freedom to mint, the right to move freely in land out of the confined space in which they were enclosed, and it meant retaining a link with village from which they had come. Second point, the government has passed the Inland Immigration Act of 1859, under which plantation workers were not permitted to leave the tea, and in fact they were rarely given such permissions. Third point, when the plantation workers heard of the non-cooperation movement, thousands of them defied the authorities, left the plantation and headed toward their homes. Fourth point, the plantation workers believed that the Gandhi Raj was coming and everyone would be given land in their own villages. Next question, question number 12. Mention any three efforts made by Gandhiji to get Harijan their rights. So answer first point. He said that Swaraj would not come for 100 years, untouchability was not eliminated. Second point, he organized Satyagraha to secure them entry into temples and access to public wells, tanks, roads and schools. Next point, in Pune Pact with the Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, through which some seats were reserved for them in provincial and central legislative councils. Next question, question number 13. Idea of nationalism also developed through a movement to revive Indian folklore. Explain. So answer first point. In the late 19th century, Indian nationalists began recording folk tales sung by bards. They toured villages to gather folk songs and legends. Second point, this was done to promote the traditional culture that had been corrupted and damaged by the Western forces. Third point, to revive the folklore, Rabindranath Tagore himself collected ballads, nursery rhymes and myths and led the movement for folk revival. Fourth point, a massive 4-volume collection of Southern India. He believed that the folklore was a national literature. It was the most trustworthy manifestation of people's real thoughts and characteristics. So next question, question number 14, this was deleted. Moving to next question, question number 15, this was also deleted. Next question, question number 16. What is meant by the idea of Satyagraha? So answer, it was a non-violent method of mass agitation against the oppressor. Next point, it emphasized the power of truth and the need to search against the oppressor. Next point, it emphasized the power of truth and the need to search the truth. Next point, it suggested that if the cause was true, if the struggle was against injustice, there was no need for physical force to fight the oppressor. Next point, people including the oppressor had to be persuaded to see the trust instead of being forced to accept truth through the use of violence. Next point, by this struggle truth was bounded to be victorious. Next question, question number 17. Compare the image of Bharat Mata in this chapter with the image of Germania in the chapter first. So answer, first point, the image of Germania was the symbol of German nation, whereas the image of Bharat Mata was the symbol of Indian nation. Second point, both the images inspired nationalist feelings who worked very hard for the unify of their respective countries and to attain freedom and establishing liberal nation. Third point, but the image of Bharat Mata is different from that of Germania in the sense that former reflect the religious basis of its making. Fourth point, Bharat Mata is shown as a Hindu goddess having Trishul in hand, so it became controversial figure and also indirectly played role in spread of communalism in pre-independent India. On the other hand, the image of Germania did not have any such controversy attached to it. Next question, question number 18. First part, why is the growth of nationalism in the colonies linked to an anti-colonial movement? So answer, first point, in India as Vietnam and many other countries, the growth of modern nationalism is intimately connected to the anti-colonial movement. People began discovering their unity in the process of their struggle with the colonialism. The sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. Second point, the European powers considered their culture more civilized, modern, and superior. They forcefully started impose their culture on the colonies, so aroused the feeling of nationalism. Third point, Gandhiji used satyagraha against the Britisher. This also promoted the spirit of nationalism among the people. Fourth point, the anti-colonial movement was a united struggle by the people against the foreigners. The united struggle was responsible for arousing the spirit of nationalism. Second part, how did the First World War help in the growth of national movement in India? So answer, the war created a new economic and a political situation. First point, it led to a huge increase in defense expenditure, which was financed by war loans, and increasing taxes, custom duties were raised, and income tax introduced. Second point, through the war years, prices increased, doubling between 1913 and 1918, leading to extreme hardship for the common people. Third point, villages were called upon to supply soldiers, and the forced recruitment in rural areas caused widespread anger. Third part, why were the Indians outraged by the Rowlatt Act? So answer, first point, Rowlatt Act was passed through the Imperial Legislative Council on a report of the Sedition Committee headed by Justice Rowlatt. Second point, through this act the government gave vast powers to the police to search a place and arrest any person without a warrant and hold the trial without jury. Third point, the act was passed despite the united opposition of the Indian members of the council. This act became one of the factors due to which Gandhiji launched non-cooperation movement. Next part, why did Gandhiji decide to withdraw the non-cooperation movement? So answer, in February 1922, Gandhiji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement due to the following reasons. So first point, the movement was turning violent. Chauri Chaura in Gorakhpur, a peaceful demonstration in a bazaar, turned into a violent clash in which more than 20 policemen were killed. Second point, Gandhiji also felt that the satyagrahis needed to be properly trained before they would be ready for the mass struggle. Third point, within the Congress, some leaders were tired of mass struggle and wanted to participate in elections to the Provincial Council, which were set up under the Government of India Act 1919. So now we are moving to long and short type questions. So question number first, deleted. Question number 2, write a newspaper report on. First topic, Jallianwala Bagh massacre. A public meeting was announced for the 13th April 1990 at Jallianwala Bagh, Amritsar. The people were allowed to assemble there. After they had gathered, General Dyer marched there with armored cars and troops without giving any warning to the people to disperse. He ordered to firing in the unarmed and peaceful people. The casualties among the Indians were very heavy. Dyer's purpose in doing so was to produce a moral effect, to create in the mind of satyagrahis a feeling of terror. This massacre of innocent people in thousands converted Mahatma Gandhi into a non-cooperator. Second, the Simon Commission. So first point, the Indian members of the Central Legislative Assembly exposed the drawbacks in the Government of India Act of 1919. As a result of it, the Simon Commission was appointed in 1927 to suggest any further constitutional reforms. This commission consisted of 7 members and its chairman was John Simon. Second, why was it boycotted by the Indians? The Indians boycotted the Simon Commission because there was no Indian members in this commission. The term of the commissions appointed did not give any indication of Swaraj. Therefore, the Indian National Congress, the Muslim League and other parties decided to oppose the Simon Commission. Third, methods. Indian people organized hartal all over the country. They also held back flag demonstration with the slogan Simon Go Back. When the Simon reached Bombay, such demonstrations were held everywhere it went. Next question, question number 3. List all the different social groups which joined the non-cooperation movement of 1921. Choose any 3 and write about their hopes and struggles to show why they joined the movement. So answer, social groups took part in the non-cooperation movement in 1920 to 1921 are middle class people in the towns, peasants in the rural areas and tribal people and plantation workers. First point, the movement started with the participation of middle class in the cities. Thousands of students left government-controlled schools and colleges, teachers resigned and lawyers gave up their legal practice. Second, boycott of council elections. The council elections were boycotted in most provinces except in Madras, where the Justice Party, the party of non-Brahmins, felt that entering the council was one way of gaining some power, sometimes that usually only Brahmins had an access to. Third, Swadeshi. The non-cooperation movement had a great impact on the Indian textile industry. Swadeshi goods, especially cloth, got a great impetus. Foreign goods were boycotted, liquors pocketed and foreign clothes burnt in huge bonfires. Fourth point, impact on industry. In many places, merchants and traders refused to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. Due to this, the demand of Indian textile mills and handlooms went up. The increase in demand provided a big relief to the vanishing textile industry of India. The tribal people joined the movement as most of them were dependent on the forest of their livelihood, but under the new forest policy, the government had put certain restrictions on the people, closing large forest area for tribal people, forcing the local people to contribute begar, preventing people from entering the forest to graze their cattle or to collect fuel wood and fruits. All these steps enraged hill people. Not only were their livelihood affected, but they felt that their traditional rights were also being denied, so the people revolted. Next question, question number 4. Discuss the Salt March to make clear why it was an effective symbol of resistance against colonialism. So answer, first point. It was the first time that Indian leader decided to violate law. People were now asked not only to refuse cooperation with British but also to break colonial laws. Second point, thousands of Indians in different parts of the country broke the salt law, manufactured salt and demonstrated in front of the government salt factories. Third point, as the movement spread, foreign clothes were boycotted and liquor shops were picketed. Peasants refused to pay revenue and chalukdari taxes. Village officials resigned, and in many places, forest people violated forest law, going in reserved forests to collect wood and graze cattle. Fourth point, worried by the development, the colonial government began arresting the Congress leaders. This led to violent clashes in many places. Angry crowd demonstrated in the streets, facing armored cars and police firing. Many were killed. Fifth point, when Mahatma Gandhi himself was arrested, industrial workers in Solapur attacked police posts, municipal buildings, law courts, and railway station, all structures that symbolized by the British rule. Sixth point, the outcome of the movement was the Gandhi-Irvine Pact, which was signed by Gandhiji with Irvine on 5th March 1931. By this, Gandhi consented to participate in the Round Table Conference in London, and the government agreed to release the political prisoners. Next question, question number 5. Women play a very important role in the civil disobedience movement. Explain. And this question asked in another way. Imagine you are a woman participating in the civil disobedience movement. Explain what the experience meant to your life. To answer, women participated in a large number in civil disobedience movement. So first point, I am feeling humble and great when I walk thousands of like-minded women in a march under the civil disobedience movement. The feeling of having done something for my beloved country comes to my mind. Second point, although marching in a big crowds on the city roads in the most unusual experience because I have not done it is my life before this, but when I interact with other sisters, I feel relieved as all them are like me. Third point, the participation in the civil disobedience movement also raised the status of women in Indian society. Fourth point, it put them in equal importance with Indian men. Fifth point, although there occur not much change in domestic lives of women, but the contribution made through participation in the movement itself is one of the most significant incident for the Indian women. Next question, question number 6. Why did the political leaders differ sharply over the question of separate electorate? So answer, by the system of separate electorate, we mean such a system when people of the one religion only vote for a candidate their own religion. Using a such system was a mischief of the British government, who wanted to divide the people to weaken the national movement. By doing so, the British wanted to prolong their stay in India. They differed over the question of separate electorate. So first point, the Congress leaders opposed the policy of the British government in instigating different people in demanding separate electorates because such a policy would weaken the national movement. Congress leaders were in favor of joint electorates. Second point, Muslim leaders like Muhammad Iqbal and Mr. Jinnah asked for separate electorates to safeguard the political interest of the Muslims. In their opinion, the majority of the people were Hindus, and in case of joint electorate, the Muslim would have little chance of winning the seats. As such, they would always be at the mercy of the Hindus. Third point, the leaders of the depressed classes, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, who asked for separate electorates because in the joint electorates, he feared the dominance of the upper electorates and the upper caste Hindu in the elections. By Pune Pact, he however agreed to have joint electorates with Hindus, provided the seats for depressed classes were fixed or reserved in provincial and central legislative councils. So finally this chapter was completed. So this is your second part. First part link in description so you can watch.